Hello everybody, it's me Faith. In this video, I want to discuss Impindamshaye. In almost every situation, whenever you are attacked, you can respond in one of two ways. You can either turn the other cheek, like Jesus said. Turning the other cheek means refraining from retaliating when you are attacked. The other way is to respond by fighting fire with fire. In forestry, they call this back burning, or it's also called an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth, meaning you return the offense back to the offender. There are some situations in life that call for a person to turn the other cheek, and there are some situations that call for a person to retaliate. However, retaliation is one of those things that should be used with caution because, as I've come to realize, in this world, there are really evil people. I mean, like devil kind of evil. People who are so evil, you wonder if they even have a soul. These are people who get a thrill out of causing chaos in other people's lives. Such people will go to any lengths to win. And if you ever find yourself being attacked by such people, the only way to win is by turning the other cheek and walking away, because trying to win by retaliation against such people will require you to be just like them or worse than them. In the cases that I've seen where a person retaliates in a fight, especially when fighting a monster, is that the person retaliating ends up becoming a monster themselves. I have to make it clear that there is nothing wrong with defending yourself, but defending yourself and retaliating are two different things. To defend yourself means to protect yourself, but to retaliate means to get revenge. And some people literally have nothing to lose, that they do not mind destroying themselves just to destroy you. The plant Impindamshaye can be used for either defending yourself against witchcraft or retaliating against someone doing witchcraft on you. It all depends on how you use the plant. The common name Impindamshaye is a Zulu word that means return back to sender in English. Impindamshaye is what a person uses to return a witchcraft attack to the person that sent it to them. Impindamshaye is similar to the Wicca practice of burning a black candle, staring into the flame, and chanting return back to sender. Though candle magic does work, it requires the person to have faith for it to work. Impindamshaye, on the other hand, is effective across the board. Impindamshaye is scientifically known as Adenia gummifera. The genus name Adenia is derived from the word Aden. Aden was the plant's Arabic name, as reported by Peter Forsskål, a Swedish naturalist and author of the genus. The Adenia genus has about 100 species, and it's said that the species of this genus are very difficult to identify and distinguish. The most interesting thing about this genus is that its species have been used as fish poison. The toxicity of the poison in Adenia species is due to the combination of a highly toxic protein called Medicinal and cyanogenic glycosides. The species name gummifera is Latin for producing gum or producing resin, and refers to the resin that oozes out of the plant. Adenia gummifera is said to resemble other types of adenias. For example, Adenia gummifera in many respects is said to resemble Adenia sessampeloides. The resemblance is so uncanny that in some books, for example, the Handbook of African Medicinal Plants by Maurice M. Iwu, have recorded these plants as being synonymous with one another. The book recognizes Adenia gummifera as the synonym for Adenia sessampeloides. However, when you look at the leaves of the two plants, they're not the same. But then again, the differences could be due to an adaptation feature. It is possible for the same plant to look different in different environments due to the need to adapt to the different environments. Impindamshaye is a woody climber or a vine with a thick, bright green stem and lobed leaves. It occurs naturally throughout Africa and has been found growing in a wide range of habitats, including rocky slopes, forest margins, the savanna, woodlands, and bushlands. The root, stem, and leaves of Impindamshaye are used for a range of magical and traditional medicinal purposes. Different African countries use the different parts of Impindamshaye for different reasons. In South Africa, Impindamshaye is used to treat melancholy or depression. The reason Impindamshaye is used to treat melancholy or depression is because African traditional medicine views melancholy or depression as a spiritual disease that is caused by a spiritual attack. Sadness is a feeling because it is fleeting, meaning it doesn't last for a long time and usually has an underlying reason for the sadness. However, melancholy or depression is not a feeling. It is a spirit because it is persistent or never ending and often does not have an obvious reason for its existence in your life. To treat melancholy or depression with Impindamshaye, you can make an infusion with the plant's leaves, roots, and stem that can be taken orally. The infusion works by helping you let go or release the torment or burden that is caused by witchcraft. So, witchcraft works by causing torment or a burden in a person's life. When you consume Impindamshaye, the infusion cleanses and purifies you and removes the burden. When you are no longer burdened, then the witchcraft no longer has a hold on you. And since it no longer has a hold on you, you can send it back. In Mark 3, verse 27, there is a parable about a robber who comes to rob a strong man's house. According to the parable, the reason the robber is able to rob the strong man's house is because the robber first ties up the strong man. When tied up, the strong man feels powerless, and it is the feeling of powerlessness or helplessness that cripples him and creates an avalanche of burdens that send him on a downward spiral. When you untie the strong man, you remove the burden. Untying the strong man frees him up to fight the robber. And because he is a strong man, he will win the battle. This is exactly how witchcraft works. For witchcraft to work in your life, it must first tie you up. Witchcraft ties you up with depression, illness, fear, doubt, loss, you name it. Once you are tied up, it starts wreaking all types of havoc in your life. What Impindamshaye does is it simply unties you. It removes the burden. When the burden is removed, then you can fight the robber. With the case of the strong man, there are two ways of fighting the robber. The strong man can call the police and have the man arrested for trespassing, or the strong man can take the law into his own hands and baptize the robber with the unholy spirit, if you know what I mean. Calling the police is equivalent to turning the other cheek. The second option is equivalent to retaliation. When using Impindamshaye, you also have two options. When the burden is removed, you can simply tell whatever was causing you burdens to go back to the sender. When witchcraft no longer has a hold on you, you can send it back. But even when you don't tell it to go back, the fact that it no longer has a hold on you, it's no longer causing pain in your life. Therefore, it's no longer serving any purpose. The fact that it's not serving any purpose means it automatically goes back. But you can only tell Umuthi to go back only when the power dynamics have changed. Meaning, when you are tied up and feeling helpless, you cannot make any commands. Like, think about it in terms of the parable. When the man is tied up, he cannot command anything. You cannot tell the robber to get out of the house because you're tied up and you're helpless. But when you're untied, you can tell the man to get out of your house and he will go out because you are more powerful than the robber. The strong man is stronger than the robber. So the first option is turning the other cheek. The other option is to create your own mixture of burdens. And instead of just returning what was sent to you, you can also add your own extra something something, aka ipansela, and then return whatever was sent to you back with ipansela. People who use this second option often justify it by saying they don't want the person to try them ever again. They often use the mantra, I'm not the one who started this, but I'm going to be the one that finishes it. And it's understandable why someone would want to do that, but I'm not sure if it's always the right approach. Countries like South Africa, Tanzania, Malawi, and Kenya use Impindamshaye to return witchcraft attacks back to the sender. One of the simplest ways to use Impindamshaye is by first drying the stem and then burning the stem while speaking and telling the witchcraft attack to return back to the sender. In South Africa, Impindamshaye is also used to treat things like infertility, menstrual problems, and gonorrhea. For example, in Limpopo, people treat infertility by mixing the roots of Impindamshaye with the roots of mochontlo, a plant that's scientifically known as Xylopia parviflora. In KZN, menstrual problems are treated with a mixture consisting of the roots of Impindamshaye, the roots of upoqopoqo, which is scientifically known as Mesa lanceolata, the roots of izibu, which is scientifically known as Nymphaea capensis, the roots of umbulunyati, which is scientifically known as Osiris lanceolata, as well as the roots of ulupowana, which is scientifically known as Piper capensis. To treat STDs such as gonorrhea, a handful of chopped roots of Impindamshaye and a handful of chopped leaves and stem of Ipagama, scientifically known as Eranthurnum dragii, and a handful of the stem of Umavumbuka, which is scientifically known as Sarcophyte sanguinea. All these three can be added in a 10 liter of water and allowed to sit for 5 hours. And half a cup of the liquid can be taken twice a day to treat STDs like gonorrhea. In South Africa and Tanzania, Impindamshaye is used to treat nausea and as a cosmetic to make a person more attractive. To treat nausea, an infusion is made from the leaves and stem of Impindamshaye that is taken orally. To make a person more attractive, the roots, stem, and leaves of Impindamshaye are used to make an infusion that's taken orally. In Tanzania, Impindamshaye is used to treat pain, scabies, and colic. Colic is when a baby or an adult cries more than usual. Adults may cry excessively due to an emotional issue. In children, excessive crying may be due to fatigue, nightmares, and insomnia. Pain is treated by making a root decoction with Impindamshaye that can be taken orally. Scabies can be treated by making a root decoction with Impindamshaye that can be applied topically or directly on the skin. In Tanzania, Impindamshaye is also used to treat foot and mouth diseases. To do this, the leaves of Impindamshaye are mixed with the leaves of sticky hop bush, a plant that's scientifically known as Dodonia viscosa, the leaves of upekambedu, or scientifically known as Indigofera erecta, and the leaves of umsobo, which is scientifically known as Solanum nigrum. It's always weird how some plants do not have a common name in certain languages. For example, the sticky hop bush in Venda, it's known as Mutatabana, but I couldn't find a common name for the Nguni language. So if you know the name, please let me know. Impindamshaye is also used to treat hydrocele, Hydrocele is a condition where the scrotum is swollen due to fluid accumulation in the sheath surrounding the testicle. Lastly, in Tanzania, impindamchai is also used to treat oral candidiasis. This is done by making a decoction that can be taken orally using the roots and stem of impindamchai. In Tanzania and Kenya, impindamchai is used to treat anemia and snake bite. To treat anemia, you can make a decoction that can be taken orally with the roots of impindamchai. To treat snake bites, you can make a decoction with the roots of impindamchai that can be applied topically. In Kenya, impindamchai is used to treat fibroids and headaches. To treat fibroids and headaches, you can make a decoction using the roots and stem that can be taken orally. In South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and Mozambique, impindamchai is used to treat infertility. To treat infertility, you can make a decoction from the roots, leaves, and stem that can be taken orally. In South Africa, Kenya, and Mozambique, impindamchai is used to treat respiratory infections such as chest pains, colds, coughs, and tuberculosis. To treat tuberculosis, freshly cleaned roots are boiled in water, and a quarter of a cup of the liquid is then taken thrice a day. In Kenya and Mozambique, impindamchai is used to treat wounds. The leaves, roots, and stem can be used to make a decoction that can be applied topically to treat the wounds. In Mozambique, impindamchai is used to treat parasitic worms by making a root decoction that is taken orally. In Mozambique and the DRC, impindamchai is used to induce labor. To induce labor, the leaves, roots, and stem are made into a decoction that's taken orally. In the DRC, impindamchai is used to treat diabetes by making a decoction with the stem and bark that's then taken orally. In Zimbabwe, impindamchai is used to treat sexually transmitted diseases or STDs, painful uterus, and madness. To treat STDs, a mixture is prepared with the roots of impindamchai and those of umuna or islabamakhundlwane, which is scientifically known as Dicoma anomala. To treat a painful uterus, the roots of impindamchai are made into an infusion that can be taken orally. Zimbabwe and Malawi use impindamchai to treat inflammation. To treat inflammation, the roots can be made into a decoction that is then applied topically. In South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, impindamchai is used to treat gastrointestinal problems such as cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, and stomach ache. To treat these gastrointestinal problems, the roots can be made into a decoction that is then taken orally. In South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Eswatini, impindamchai is used to treat leprosy by making a decoction from the roots that is then taken orally. In South Africa, Mozambique, and Eswatini, the impindamchai is used to treat malaria. Malaria is treated by making a decoction from the leaves and roots that is then taken orally. In South Africa, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Eswatini, impindamchai is used to make an emetic for inducing emesis. To make the emetic, the fruits and roots of impindamchai are used to make a decoction that is then taken orally. Impindamchai is a powerful plant with a number of medicinal and magical uses. Besides treating physical ailments, the plant can also be used to cleanse the home. This can be done by drying and burning the stem or using the stem to make a decoction that can then be sprinkled around the home. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a blessed day and bye.